And now we are recording. So again, thank you so much for being online. I'm very excited for this call because our guest speaker today is a friend of mine. She's amazing and she has just been promoted to SC. So I'm so excited for her and to hear about like her journey, her story, and what she did different to get to this promotion and what her vision is also for the future. So for those of you who don't know her, Brooke is from Australia. She's a single mom to a 13-year-old boy with autism and ADHD. Did I say it right? I'm sorry. After just a few months on the chewable, Brooks observed some really positive changes in her son's behavior, and he no longer needs prescription medication. They've been on the products for 2 years now, and Brooke joined the business 18 months ago. Brooke and her son have been traveling full-time for almost 3 years, and being in this business has allowed them to travel even more, do more, and see more. She has also been homeschooling her son for the last 6 years, and he's passionate about educating other parents on the link between gut health and mental health, particularly for children with special needs. So this is Brooke, and I can't wait to hear from you.
Oh, thank you so much, Sylvia. What a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much for having me on the call. I was quite surprised to be asked. It's such an honor to be speaking on the Fast Track calls. So, because I've been watching them for such a long time and coming on and learning myself. So to be here and to share what I guess, learned along the way is yeah, like a real honor. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming on this morning. So yeah, I was asked to talk today about the decisions that I made along the way to get me to SC. So, and I guess that growth that came with that. So I've jotted down 7. 7's my favorite number. So I've jotted down 7 decisions that I made along the way. And when I initially thought, oh, what decisions did I make? I thought I decided to join the business, but I couldn't think of what else. But it really took some thought to sort of sit back and go, okay, well, that was a conscious decision that I made. For example, will I post on social media? And I did something that didn't work. And I would go, oh, I wonder why that didn't work. And I realized, well, that was a conscious decision I made. Now I'm going to make a conscious decision to do something different. So I guess every single step along the way is a decision that we consciously make about whether or not we're going to, how we're going to, I guess, run our business and whether or not we're going to succeed. So yeah, it was a really interesting process for me to go back and figure out what all those decisions were. So I guess my first one was to join the business. I met my upline Zoe Hudson in a caravan park in Queensland in Australia. And that's when I got on the product because I was just interested in getting more fruits and veg into my child. And I knew nothing about Juice Plus. I didn't even look it up on the internet. I just said, Zoe, give me some. So we were about 6 months into taking our Juice Plus, and I noticed, like you said, those really big changes for my son. His anxiety wasn't as high. His low days, those depressive days that come with autism, they weren't as low. So he really leveled out, and I was able to take him off medication, which was fantastic. And for myself, I noticed that I wasn't popping painkillers every day because I've got a herniated disc in my lower back, and traveling full time and hitching up a big caravan was really doing a lot of damage on my back. And I would spend the next 2 days after we arrived at a beautiful location lying on my bed because I couldn't move. And about 4 or 5 months in, I noticed I wasn't taking that medication anymore for pain. My inflammation had gone down because of my Juice Plus. So I became a really, really big fan and just naturally started sharing it. But every month when my payment was due or my reshoot was due, my upline would contact me and just say, how are you going? Oh, have you given any more thought to joining the business? No, not yet. I had just had too much going on with family. And about 6 months into it, I eventually did say yes to my upline. That was my next, my decision to join the business was a big yes to Zoe, because I was losing my sister to breast cancer. And I joined the business the day that my sister went into hospital for the very last time. And I had to get my upline to do everything for me to process my orders. And she was just saying to me the other day that she wasn't able to celebrate my joining the business and on this new journey, because I was in such a, I guess, a really, you know, uncomfortable position, you know, a sad position with my sister about to pass away. But I knew that in losing my sister, that was a decision that I made to join the business, so that I could help other people get healthier, so that I didn't have to go through what she went through in terms of, you know, getting that disease, or getting unwell myself. As a single mum, I need to look after my child. But also I wanted to share that. I felt an obligation, because I knew how good this product was. I felt an obligation to share that with everybody else. So that they didn't have to go through what we were going through at that time. So I guess that was my first one. And I remember Lauren Slocum Lahav saying at one point that all excuses are equal. And I knew I had a pretty good excuse, but I thought, well, if not now, then when? Because I'm always going to have an excuse, be it this or something else. So yeah, I always remember that. That sticks in my head, that all excuses are equal. We all have things going on, but sometimes we've just got to make the decision just to do it anyway. And the second decision I made was to go to a 90-day game plan event on the Gold Coast at just a month into my business. I knew nothing. When I joined the business, I imagined in my head that it was in Australia, that it was pretty small, that it was probably just one person in their garage and, you know, their office in their garage, who shipped out to anyone in Australia who probably wanted this stuff. So I had no idea how big this organization was in Australia, let alone the world. So I went along to the 90-day game plan and I was absolutely blown away. I thought, wow, there's all these people and everyone's so happy. And I was so glad that I made that decision to go, because I wasn't going to, because I just lost my sister. And all I wanted to do was, you know, get on the road and travel again. But I went along and had the best time, and I learnt so much. And I'm really, really glad that I did, because it did open my eyes to how big this business actually is. And I was so inspired. And I guess that 90-day game plan event also gave me a lot of tools that I could use to start to grow my business, which was very, very handy at that point. I guess the next decision that I made was to research. I am usually a bit of a research nut. I love to read and to find out all the nitty-gritty facts and that sort of thing. And I thought, well, I love this product. I've seen what it does. I've seen this big picture, but what actually is it? What's in it? So that was my next step, was to really get in and research what the products were about, where were they made, how were they made, so that gave me, I guess, that belief in the product, so that I could then go and comfortably share that with others. So that was a really important step for me, because it was tricky finding out, I guess, in Australia, that difference between, because the products are a little bit different in different countries around the world. So that was a real, I guess, interesting process, trying to find that information and everything, and to get into research and to take ownership, not just rely on my upline to tell me and to give me information. I actually had to go and find that myself, because this is my business and I needed to take ownership of that. So that was a real conscious decision that I made as well. So yeah. And I got a lot of information from Sidelines, and a lot of stories and information from Sidelines too. And I think that's a really important point to, you know, you don't need to rely on your uplines for information or stories or anything like that, to go wide and to see what other teams are doing, to see what other stories are out there, and to connect with them, and, you know, go on their calls and even present on their calls, which I've done many times for Sidelines. It's a really good experience to sort of, opens your eyes to how big again our organization and the love for Juice Plus actually is around the world. The next decision I made was at a time when things, I guess I'd been in the business for a few months. Things weren't really sort of growing the way that I wanted to. I wasn't getting team on board. My customer base had sort of dropped a little bit. You know, I lost a couple of customers and I wasn't getting any more to replace them. And so I sort of went through a month or two. I was sort of you know, is this really for me? I'm not really sure if this is going to work for me. You know, given my lifestyle a little bit different, I guess, in that I do travel full time, so I have Wi-Fi issues. I have lots of different excuses. So I was questioning whether or not this was for me or not. And I thought, well, while I'm making that decision, I'm actually still going to keep my foot in the door. I'm going to stay connected. I'm going to stay in line, I think is what Jeff Roberti says. You know, stay in line. No matter what happens, stay in line. So I thought, I remembered that, and I thought, okay, well, I will. If so what I did was, even though I might not have been gung-ho, yeah, let's do this and go out and get more team and more customers, I still had in my head that every single day I was going to somehow connect. So I was still going on Zoom calls and still going on trainings, still watching presentations and going to live events and that sort of thing. Even though I wasn't really working my own business, I still had my foot in that door, and I still stayed, you know, sort of in line and kept connected. And I think that's what got me through that period of, you know, questioning whether or not this was for me or not. Because without that community, I think that's what it was all about. It was the community. When I stayed connected, I was connected to the community, and was continually inspired to stay. I was continually learning new information about our products, for instance, as our Omegas were released. So that was something new and exciting that I could learn about. So even though, like I said, even though I wasn't, you know, getting customers and team on board, or even working hard to do that at that point, because I was like up in the air, I still stayed connected. And I'm so glad I did. And I think that's probably the biggest decision I made and the biggest piece of advice I could get to anyone. Even when you're feeling a bit flat, stay connected, keep coming on these calls, keep researching, keep looking, keep active in the groups as well. Yeah. So another one that I made, so I'm up to about number 5, I think, already, was to be teachable. And I know Lauren talks about this a lot. And I guess I'm a very independent woman. I've been a single mum for a very long time, my son's entire life, so 13 years. But even prior to that, I was a very independent woman, and making my own decisions. And I thought, well, this is my business, I'll run it my way. So, you know, about 6 months in or 8 months in, I really wasn't, again, getting those results that I really wanted, that I really dreamed of, and I saw myself getting. I wasn't getting that team and that growth that I was really after. And I realized, it did take me a while, a little bit slow, but it did take me a while to realize that, okay, well, maybe I'm not being really teachable. Maybe I need to go back to square one, start again, and learn those skills all over again. And just I guess start again, just to be teachable and be that that teamie that I wanted in my own team. I wanted someone who was teachable. So I thought, okay, well, I need to be that myself. So I stepped up and, I went through the process of, okay, well, I'm going to restart my business. It's just a little thing that I guess some of us teams do, that we like restart and re-promote ourselves. So we basically just wake up one morning and pretend that we're going to restart our business from day one. What would you do? You'd go out and you would get 3 orders. Then what would you do? You'd go out and get, your 4,000 PVC and a new DVF and promote yourself to the next level. So it's basically like starting from scratch. So I did that and relearned all my new skills. I guess in the beginning I did learn a lot, and then I kind of forgot them because I was going to do my own thing. And so I retaught myself all those new skills, and as a new distributor would, and started again. And gradually but surely I started to see growth in my business, but also growth in myself. So that was a really important decision to actively decide to be teachable again. And I think that's something that I need to remind myself of every now and then as well. If things aren't going right, it's okay, but what would my upline say? What would Lauren say? I'll go do that. So yeah, that was an interesting process. And In October last year, we had the most amazing conference in Indianapolis, which I wasn't sure if I was going to go because it was such a long way away, because at that time I was in Tasmania in Australia, which is way down the bottom of Tasmania. So Indianapolis was like completely on the opposite side of the planet. And it was a lot of money for flights and accommodation and all that sort of thing. And because I'm a single mum to my 13-year-old, I couldn't just leave him. So I needed to plan to take both of us. And I thought, oh, is this something that I can do? So many, excuses and so many reasons as to why I couldn't or shouldn't do it, including not having the money. But I made the decision. My upline and I decided to go together. We made that decision to go no matter what. So I emptied my bank account and bought tickets for my son and I to come over to Indianapolis for conference. And I had 3 months to save up the rest of the money for accommodation. So I bought my tickets with no money for accommodation or anything else. Crazy, crazy move. But I'd made that decision. We'd done it. We bought tickets. We had to go. So, okay, well, we were forced into saving money for the rest of our trip. So I went to work because I knew that my income that I had coming in already was not going to cut it. So I knew that the only way that I could get enough money to cover the accommodation and our rest of our trip to Indianapolis was to actually go to work. So I had 3 months where I needed to work my butt off to bring in some extra income into my business, so I could afford to actually, live in a hotel room for conference. And I worked. And as it turned out, my son and I were able to go to conference, stay in hotels, and we actually had enough money from working my butt off in the business to spend 5 weeks doing a road trip after conference. So we did a 5-week road trip, hired a car, stayed in hotels all the way, and we went all the way down from Indianapolis to New Orleans, through Memphis, Nashville, and then we decided to keep going. We went all the way up to Montreal and spent a week up there, and back down through Vermont, and back home to Australia after 5 weeks on the road. And I'm so proud of ourselves that we were able to really put that effort in and save that money for such an epic trip. As I homeschool, to show him another part of the world that he'd never seen it was such a good feeling that I'd achieved that in my business. And I thought, wow, if I've achieved that in 3 months, what happens if I really put the effort in and go to work, and what's possible? And that really inspired me. I guess another thing that I would have done differently, though, is that after, going to conference was amazing. It opened my eyes to, I guess, the worldwide team and to how big it was, but also the longevity, because so many of the, people who were at conference weren't young. Like, I guess that's what I see a lot in Australia. A lot of our Juice Plus distributors in Australia are quite young. But in America, I noticed that there were, grandparents and older people, I guess, like myself, but older people who had been in the business for 20, 25, 30 years. It was just incredible to see the longevity of, people in the business. And I think that really opened my eyes. So I'm really glad that I went to an international conference, not just at my Australian conference. I think that was a really big, important decision in my train of thought when it came to my business and how global and how big the potential actually is. So I decided to go to work when I didn't do anything after conference. I totally enjoyed my 5-week road trip. So I guess that momentum that I'd built after conference, on the last day of conference when we left, I'm like, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do this and that and the other. And then after 5 weeks of holiday, I just went, that enthusiasm was gone. So I've learned that next time when I go to any conference or any event, that I have my holiday before, and then I just, flow on that momentum after the event, to build on my business and work on my business while that momentum and that excitement and joy is there. So that's one decision that I'll definitely do that different next time. I thought, my very last decision, the one that really boosted me over to the position of SC, it's only a sort of recent thing. I've only just been promoted, which is I'm really super excited about for myself and for my team. The thing that really did push me this last couple of weeks was that I put everybody else before me, that I made that decision. Okay, it's not about me. And from day one, I've heard it's not about you, it's not about you, it's about everybody else. And I thought about, yeah, I kind of get that. I get that. So in my, my day-to-day activities and my day-to-day calls and things like that with potentials and customers, I always had that in my mind. And I always thought, well, yeah, I knew this is what it was. I knew this is what I needed to do. I needed to put other people before myself. But it wasn't until the last month or so that really clicked, that the reason that I'm doing this business is not for me. It's not for me to earn extra travel money. It's not for me to, there's not anything about me at all. That's what I kind of realized, that it's about other people. So I put a lot of thought into what I wanted to do with the business. Once I figured out how the potential and how big our team and our business could actually be, I decided that it was going to be more about autism and ADHD and teaching other people and spreading the message about gut health and how important gut health is for mental health, or our overall health in terms of inflammation in our bodies and all the horrid diseases that inflammation leads to. And now that because like I said, I was a research nut. Now that I understand the links between gut health and the rest of our health, including our mental health, that's my focus. And I've had so many people just this last month come to me and say, well, I've been watching you for a month, or I've been watching you for months, or I've been watching you for a year. And every conversation I have starts with that. And I thought, oh, wow, well, if everyone's watching me, then maybe what I actually post on social media and what I put out to the world needs to be so much more authentic. It needs to be stuff that I'm really, really passionate about. And for me, I'm not passionate about making more travel money. I'm passionate about spreading the word and educating people on the links between gut health and mental health and autism and ADHD. So that's where we're heading at the moment. And that's what my, my projection onto the world is about. That's what our planned events are in Australia are about, teaming up with some other distributors, and we're doing some events, some live events just on gut health and kids and autism and ADHD, which is a massive issue all around the world, not just in Australia. So I guess that's my final decision that I'd like to share today, is just that it's not about you, it's about other people. And if you keep that in mind, that's when my business took off and pushed me over that line for promotion to SC. So yeah, super stoked. And I love getting on these calls, and no matter what, I would never leave this business because of the connections and the community anyway, regardless of those ups and downs that I said that I had. It's the community that kept me in and a part of this business, and I'm so grateful and so glad that I did that. So so my first decision was to join the business. The next one I did was the 90-day game plan. So doing those big events is super important. Became a research nut. I wanted to know as much as I could about the product, and so that not just so that I could share that with other people, but so that I had that belief in the product and the business and in myself, so that I could do the very best that I could in Juice Plus business. Staying connected, that conscious decision that even in the hardest of times, no matter how busy I was, I still stayed connected and came on calls and went to trainings and that sort of thing. Being teachable. And then a conference in Indianapolis. I'm going to go to every conference that I possibly can. And that final decision, which really made that big difference and pushed me to SC, was to completely put everybody else before myself. It's not about me.
Brooke, thank you so much. I loved your story. I think everyone did, especially when you were talking about the road trip with your son. That was just amazing. I just want to highlight, like, I was taking notes while you were talking. So I just want to highlight, like, few things that you said that I think were really valuable. When you talked about being teachable, I think that is something that a lot of us can resonate with, because it's really about taking your ego and putting it like aside and really trusting your upline, trusting the system, trusting the community. And sometimes it's so difficult because, especially when we are independent, as you said, it's really difficult to do that switch. Something else that I really loved is when you said that you booked the flights for conference without having the money for the accommodation. That's what we mean when we say first make a decision and then figure it out. That's exactly what you did, and it's so powerful because, like, you didn't give yourself any alternative, any options. Like, you had to do it at that point, and I feel like that is so powerful. And also, I love that you said that you are so proud of you and your son for the effort that you put in, because I feel like an obstacle that many of us face is we really need the support from our families. When we decide to build our business, we need people who surround us to support us. And sometimes they don't understand what we're doing. Sometimes they cannot get exactly what we're doing. But I feel it's so important just to have a conversation about, like, what we're trying to do, and that we need to do it as a team, like also with our families. And that really, I think it was really touching when you said, like, when you talked about your effort, like with your son. Can I ask you a couple of questions? And then if anyone has questions, I would love to hear them. So you said that at some point it was really difficult for you. You were not finding team after some months in the business. So I wanted to ask you, like, what was the switch and what did you change to actually start building a team, and what allowed you to actually starting building this team? And also, who you think that you needed to become to get to a C? You said that the main switch was to realize that it wasn't about yourself, but what else? So what skills do you think you had to learn? What person you had to become to get to a C?
That's easy. I needed to become a leader. I needed to step up and be confident in my ability to mentor and train other, new distributors. I initially thought I had to know everything. I thought I need to be able to tell them how to do it. Then I realized, well, no, I don't. I don't need to know all of that. A leader isn't, a boss who tells somebody how to do something. I guide them in the right direction to find the information for themselves. And that was the switch. I needed to be a leader in the terms of guiding instead of telling them what to do. So I wasn't getting team because I wasn't putting it out there. I wasn't posting on social media, and I wasn't sharing enough about the business. I was doing a great job at promoting and posting and talking to people about the product, but I would not approach them about the business because I didn't think that I was competent enough to tell them what to do. So I had that all around the wrong way. So once I figured out that I needed to become a leader in the true sense, then I was more confident in promoting and posting about the business. Well, not about the business, but about the benefits of the business. And once I started to do that, I was starting to attract more people who were asking about it. So yeah, that was definitely it, to be a leader in the true sense, and not think that I had to have all the answers and to tell them what to do, just to guide them and provide them with all the same resources that I was provided with. Because I thought about it and I thought, my upline didn't provide me with that. She told me where to find it and sent me off on my own way to do it myself. And I thought, okay, I need to trust that that I can, urge people to go along and find their own, information, and it's their business, same as it's my business, that we need to take ownership and responsibility for that. So yeah, I think I understand now what a leader actually is.
So you had to work on, like, let's say, the belief in yourself as a leader.
Yes.
Because you said, we know that we have like 4 pillars of belief that we have to work on. And I feel like you really worked on the belief in the product with all your researching, but also with seeing the result on your son. And you really started believing in the company and the business when you went to that event, to the 90-day game plan. And also with the conference, because that's where you saw the longevity and other aspects that you were probably missing out. And so the last thing was working on the belief in yourself. So that's
absolutely, and that's not something that you can do. Most people can do quickly. It's quite often a long process. For me, it was, I've only just been promoted to SC, so I've been in the business for 18 months, and it's only just clicked for me. So it's okay. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there, as long as you're learning and growing the whole way through. I think that's really important, because it's fantastic when we are able to, and when we see new distributors getting promoted so quickly, but we can't compare ourselves to that. And I've been guilty of that a lot in the past as well, particularly in Australia, where the growth of Juice Plus is just really, really rapid. It's amazing. And every couple of days there's new promotions to NMD and to SSC, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there. There's so many people who are doing so well, and I would compare myself. So don't do that. You've just got to run your own race, do your own thing, and grow at your speed and become a better distributor, a better leader, rather than just a leader who got there very, very quickly. So as long as you're learning along the way, you just do it at your own pace, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. I love that. And I feel it's like really easy to compare yourself to someone else, but also it's so counterproductive. So we really should try to compare ourselves to who we were the day before, and not to anyone else, because you don't know anyone else's journey, and you're on your own journey. So it just doesn't work like that. Guys, do anyone else have questions or things that you would like to share about Brooke's story, or anything you want to ask her? Yeah, Stephanie, can you unmute her? Maybe I can. Okay, you're on mute. Oops, you have to mute yourself again.
Yes. There we go. Hi, thanks, Brooke. That was amazing, by the way. I love your story. So I just wanted to know, you mentioned, so I love the part about just always learning and growing. I guess it's 2 questions kind of tied into one. What was like the biggest thing you've learned then, perhaps? And then on top of that, your biggest takeaway in how to duplicate.
Okay, so the biggest thing I've learned is to be authentic, to be yourself. Mm-hmm. There are so many people, so many distributors out there, not just in our company, but in other companies, who, would just cut and paste someone else's post, or just share someone else's post, about the product or the business or whatever. Don't share about the product or the business. Share about your benefits, like your story. Share your story, your benefits of the product, and you and your family, how things used to be and how they are now. Share that story. Share, like, not all at once, but lots of little tidbits about how it's changed your life, your family's life, and the business as well. What's the business? What was life like before the business? What's it like now? What's that business brought to you, be it community, a bit of extra money, or whatever? Share those benefits of your own and your family's on social media, rather than rehashing other people's stuff that doesn't really mean a lot. I guess that's probably my biggest thing that I've learnt. And to be really authentic, you don't need to be, shiny and perfect. I guess I built my business on social media because I do travel full time. So live events as I travel around are a little bit tricky. So I've chosen social media and Facebook to really build my business. So I meet a lot of people as I travel, but I develop relationships with them. So it's, for me, really about relationship building. And then when I'm sharing, I'm just being really authentic and sharing about my journey, and for the business and for the product, and making it really personable, I think. So that's the biggest thing. What was your other question? I'm sorry.
That was amazing. Thank you. Just your biggest thing on duplication.
Right. Well, I struggled a little bit with this because my upline is in Australia as well, and I guess she wasn't. We don't have a great big team of our own in Australia just yet. We're really still building that. So my upline is in Queensland, and her upline is in the UK, and Sally. So Sally's upline is Lauren. So we've got 3 different continents here. So I guess in terms of duplicating, it was a little bit tricky for me to figure out how I'm going to do that, because I'm not a part of the bigger teams here in Australia who now have their own system to be duplicated. So I didn't have access to that. I had to sort of figure out how to do that myself. So that was a little bit tricky for me. And I guess that's something that kind of slowed me down in the beginning and got me questioning, can I do this? But I just tapped into resources from everywhere and put them together myself and made myself a list of, okay, well, how am I going to do that? And then I just started doing it. And my upline and I have been doing the same thing. We've worked together to create our own system that fits in with Australia, and we've written it down. We've gathered information from different places. We've written it down into steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And we've kind of changed that. That's evolving all of the time. So I didn't just tap into one system. I took what I loved from different systems and different resources. So there's a lot of resources on our YOLO international page, and there's a lot of resources in the Healthy Living Revolution pages as well. So I guess I tap in and I've documented what I want to do and how I want to do it, so that I guess I don't lose my way and I don't lose my confidence. I need to have it all written down in steps. So but that was a little bit tricky for me, but that they are there. And sometimes it's just a matter of finding which little bit of that system that you like for yourself, because it's your business. You don't have to do it the way that everybody else does it. You can tweak it to how it fits comfortably with you and your values. So, I hope that I don't know if I've confused you more.
No,
that's been helpful.
Because all my upline, I'm kind of like in your boat. Now I'm in Copenhagen, but I wasn't in the US, but all mine are in Australia. So I'm not over there as well. So I like that. Yeah.
It's research. I mean, you don't start a new business in any realm without doing research and finding out, well, okay, how am I going to run this business so it works for me? So it's a business. We have to think of it that way, not just rely on what's out there, but we need to go find that. We need to research. Mm-hmm. We need to figure out what's going to work for our business. And if that doesn't work, you go try and find something else, or you go try and find something else. So I guess really taking ownership of that, rather than just relying on a system that's there, but actually making sure that that's the system for you and that that's going to work for you, and tweaking it so that you're comfortable and it aligns with your values and what you want to achieve, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, Carly.
Okay, first of all, Brooke, I am so proud of you. I'm so happy that you did it. When you meet someone in person at a conference and then you see them get promoted, I feel like you're on my team. I'm so excited for you. And your story has just been so amazing and inspiring, for my next promotion. What would you offer? Because I actually just got off the phone with a teammate who said, I said to her, you need to make a decision, right? So, and you mentioned that, you were deciding, and so what advice would you give on someone who is trying to decide, is it worth it, all this work, this time, this energy? What advice would you give for someone that's kind of making a decision?
About joining the business or about continuing in the business?
Continuing.
I guess going back to their original why. When someone joins my business, I ask them why. Why do you want to join this business? What do you hope to achieve? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, in relation to the business, and how that's going to, I guess, change their family, their life? What do they want? And I always write that down so that when they do have those moments of doubt, we can go back to that and talk about, well, hey, when you joined this business, this is what you wanted to achieve. This is the life that you imagined for your family. What's changed? If you don't want this anymore, what do you want? And kind of put that to them and say, well, go back to the why, go back to the original why of why they joined. And I guess just supporting them through those hurdles, you get down to the nitty gritty. Well, why is it hard for you at the moment? Why are you unsure? Getting down to the actual nitty gritty of it and supporting them and helping them through that. And I guess encourage them to not quit, just to, like I said, just to stay connected and keep that foot in the door and keep the business going. And just, maybe they might just need a little break, and that's okay. But to still stay connected and to not give up, just to keep going, even though you might not be building and, talking to people and that sort of thing, because it's such a phenomenal business. And I think I feel so sad for people who give up a few months in or a year in when they haven't really, I guess, seen the success that's really possible for themselves and that belief. I would say it's just a journey they're on, and we're all on our own journey, and we all just go at our own pace, and maybe they're just a slightly slower pace than, someone who's we've just spoken to or whatever, or ourselves. So yeah, hope that helps.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks, Kelly.
So, guys, do anyone else want to ask or share something? Yeah.
I guess I have a question. You had mentioned to Stephanie, like, I understand the beauty in being authentic and really just sharing how it's working for you, but what if there's no results yet? Like, I don't want to sound negative, but my life is like almost like worse since I joined, because I went back to school to IIN and I did babes in business. So like I've become less healthy because I've taken on so much, and I have found less time for self-care and and it's stuff I'm working on, but I don't have any amazing results yet. Like, I spent a bunch of money on the books and products, so I'm like more broke, less healthy. Those are not things I'm trying to advertise. So I'm kind of doing fake it till you make it. But do you have any advice for people before you've turned that corner and you have gotten look at, I went on vacation and my hair, skin, and nails are so great. What do you do before all that happens?
That's interesting what you said, fake it till you make it, because I used to say that all of the time. And then one of my uplines says, faith it till you make it. So have faith instead of faking. So faith that you'll make it. And I think I have, distributors and that who've said the same thing. So what I say to them is, well, what do you want? What do you hope to achieve? Share that instead. My skin's shit. I hope that these little things are going to make a big difference. I've seen what they've done for other people. And that kind of thing. But also coming on to Zoom calls, coming on and hearing other people's stories and talking to other people and being friends with other people in the business who have had results. You can share those as well. And, for instance, just, as an example, today's call, you could perhaps, do a little post about, I heard a really, cool story today about such and such. And I was really inspired, and these products that I've started, blah, 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 I'm hoping that they will do that for me or something like that. But yeah, sharing other people's stories, who who are not just someone whose post you saw on a Facebook, testimonials page because you don't know them, don't share that. But someone who I do that. I share people who are close to me, their stories. But don't give up, because the results sometimes aren't superficial that we see for everybody. It's not all about hair, skin, and nails. It's about that deeper long-term health. And if you think about your family history, what kind of diseases, illnesses are in your family, genetically running your family. Do you want that for yourself? Well, these products that you're taking, that the research says that that necessarily that's not something you need to sign up for. You don't need to go down that road, because you're taking care of your inner long-term health by taking the products that you're taking and looking after yourself. And you're just at the beginning of your journey, and that's okay to, you know, and maybe sharing that you're at the beginning of your journey and you're really excited and you're really hopeful, and encouraging others to join you and start with you and do this together, and then you can share that journey with other people. I think to invite others to come and share that with you could be quite powerful as well.
Thank you.
I love that, because we really just need to be authentic. So especially when it comes to your story, you don't need to fake anything. You just can really share like what made sense to you, why the products made sense to you, and stories of other people, you know, as Brooke was saying, and what you're looking to improve in your health. So that was really powerful for me at the beginning. So I totally feel you on that. But I loved Brooke advices on this matter. So guys, I really want to thank Brooke again, because this was just amazing and so inspiring. I'm gonna do a post right now on your story, definitely. So thank you again, Brooke, and congratulations on your new promotion. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the US soon. And thank you guys, everyone, for being online for the SE call this week. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.